Welcome, everybody. One quick
Yeah,
disclaimer
welcome.
Brad and I wanted to make. Obviously, we're in a transition period today, so there's a lot of weird stuff going on with Stratus and
Terrible
Realm.
day. Terrible day to do this.
Fun day to do it. I mean, Realm looks to be working 99.9%, even though Stratus isn't, so that's a plus here. But just bear with us because it is a bit of a funky day. But looks like we're good here.
Yeah, so it's been a little slow, so we'll do our best. Some things don't seem to be loading quite right. So please excuse any weirdness here. It's not our internet connection, it's gonna be Treb.
And this is not
So
normal for Realm either. A lot of Realm haters would love to say this is normal. It's just
sure,
a weird
Jake,
day with this
sure.
Stratus Stratus transition here.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so hey everybody, thanks for coming. I'm Brad, that's Jake, and what we want to do here is just kind of give everybody a high level basic introduction view of Realm, talk about like how to set it up, and then kind of get into some of the basic workflow tasks that at least Jake and I use on a day-to-day basis. So hopefully you'll find some benefit in doing that and can develop your own. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Just put my email. Okay, can everybody see that okay?
Yeah, it looks
Yeah,
perfect.
cool. Awesome. Okay, so this is the main dashboard for Realm. And I recognize that there's a lot of information here and it can maybe be a little overwhelming. You can actually configure the home screen to meet your own preferences, but I find that like, once you get used to this presentation, you actually have a tremendous amount of information that's available really quickly with like a single click. So I've gotten used to it and learned to love it. Okay, so just quickly along the top here, what you have is the Realm home button. This is like a hidden home button. You have the Realm search bar, which is where you'd actually go to search for a property. So you get into a property address in here, and Jake's going to go into that and show you a little bit more for that. And then you have your search tool here. So you can click on search and get into doing different kinds of searches. And Jake will for sure get into that as well. And then contacts. So Realm, like Stratus, has a little bit of a CRM built into it. And you can click contacts here and go into your contacts. One nice feature is that you also have a members directory here. So you can see anybody that's actually a real estate agent and do quick searches for them and get contact info for them. Okay, so you can go through there.
There's lots of us Jakes. Not an easy find.
All right. Yeah, lots, Jake. But yeah, so there's Jake Jordan, and you can get social media links, his email. Um, Full-time agents frequently have their cell phone numbers in here as well, so lots of great information. It's very easy to add contact. You can just click up here and go add new contact. And just for demo purposes, we're gonna add one. The minimum information you need to have in here is an email address. So I'm just going to use mine phone number. You don't need to have a phone number to be able to send people lists, but you do at a bare minimum need to have an email address. Okay. And then you can add as much as you want. Like our team has a CRM, but if you didn't have your own CRM and you wanted to use this as a CRM, you certainly could and track information like the stage and the type of client that was. Basic information like birthdays and all that kind of stuff. Down here, you have two options. Once you enter a contact, you can save that contact or you can save and invite. And the way Realm is structured, it's kind of intended to be a collaborative tool where your clients have the Realm app on their phones and you're communicating back and forth within the Realm ecosystem here and sharing information about listings and commenting back and forth about the listings and it's almost like a social media app in that way. um, I don't use it very heavily that way. I don't know if Jake, do you do that? Do you have clients using the Realm app? No.
Not yet.
And No, yeah. I mean, I had a few initially that were using it, and they were getting a little frustrated with the login and the way the logins were working. But I know that Realm is trying to streamline that, so maybe it's time to revisit that with some clients and just see how that's working out. But there's a lot of collaborative tools here that you can certainly take advantage of if you're doing it. So I'm going to go ahead and just save my client here, and we'll have Kermit here as a new client now. Another one is documents. I don't use documents at all. Jake does. Jake uses documents as a tool on his phone. For a good idea he had was to put the RICO guide in there, so you have it quick access on the mobile application, so you could share it. But you could do all kinds of things like keep your commission schedules and whatnot in documents.
That's the one thing I love about this system that you guys will find, and I hope you guys take into using after today. The mobile app is very, very similar, if not the same, in pretty much every single way to the desktop. So you can use things like that document tab from your phone. So if I'm out at a showing and let's say I forgot my commission menu or something like that, I have it saved in my documents tab as a failsafe so that I can very easily pull it up on my phone and answer any questions. So it's a great place to store commonly used documents that you need is in your business.
Good idea. Okay, and then this bubble here is the chat bubble. So again, this is chatting within Realm, so you can chat with agents and clients back and forth, and it's pretty straightforward chat application. You'll get notifications for chats in the Realm app on your phone. And then the little bell here is notifications. So it's going to show you what you've recently done. So I created Kermit. So you have like a little running history of what you've done, any interactions you've had with clients or agents within Realm. It's all logged here. And I'm going to talk a little bit about other notifications that you can get in the system, but they'll show up here as well. So you want to be looking at your little icon here and just see if there's a red dot on it to let you know if you have any notifications you need to attend to. The home is the home. So another home button, just like the Realm one over here, that'll bring you back. And then we have this little hamburger here that opens a menu for applications within Realm that you can use. So I can do my Realm CMA in here. I can get into Geo from here. I can also find Authentisign from here, my web form stuff. So lots of quick stuff. There's also some really cool learning tutorial videos and stuff like that buried in there as well. So when you have some time, I do recommend you go through that. There is also a pretty robust help system built into Realm. So just click on the question mark and you can enter your question in search. And there's lots of good information here at your fingertips, including some excellent video tutorials. So you can use that if you get stuck. If the first time you log into Realm, you're going to see that there's this Show Me tab. That's actually going to be extended out, and there's going to be some kind of just agent kind of launch keys there just to walk you through some of the more basic stuff when getting going on Realm. Okay, so once you get into Realm, oh, sorry, just a little bit more repetition here. It's very similar, I find, to what you see in Stratus. It's just presented differently. So we do have some stats at our fingertips, and you can dig into those. Those are a number of listings. And then if you scroll down, you're going to get the Trev News, which you can extend. So we used to have the Trev News in Stratus. I'll just flip back to Stratus here. And you had your Trev News and Stratus. It's exactly the same news. There's nothing different about that. And then we've got our quick search tool here. So we could do quick searches on areas just like you had in Stratus, which you have here on the side in Stratus. So you got that in Realm as well. And then we had our recent listings. So anything that we looked at within the buffer, I think the buffer is like 60 listings. So you've got access to that. If you click on here, it'll pull up a full screen of the recent listings, so you don't have to go searching for those again. Also keeps a history of your recent searches. Same idea here. You can just click on any of these searches and re-engage them, or click on see all, and it'll pull down the whole page will make them recent searches. And then you have your saved lists. We'll talk about lists a little bit later, but those are like the, was it baskets or buckets? I can't remember in strategy.
Buckets.
Buckets, right. It works much better than buckets, and we'll get into the list. And then you have your land registry polls. So anytime you pull the land registry, it's going to be here as well. On the side here, we have our market areas. So just like in Stratus, where you had your market areas down on the bottom, you're going to have your market areas in Realm here on the side. So I've got my customized market areas, and I've got new listings, and then I can just click over here and I'll get updates on the listings. So what we're talking about, it's running a little slow here today, but normally that's instantaneous. So, but you can configure your market areas, no problem. We're going to do that right now. So if I go over here and click on my picture icon in the top left, or sorry, right, it's going to give you some options. Edit profile is actually within settings, so we're going to go into settings. You can customize your photo here, and that does get attached within the Realm app the clients will see, so you might want to configure that. Most of this information, though, is configured by your brokerage, and you can't really change it. You can add some additional information here, but it doesn't really do much. When you get into the personalization, this is kind of the first step, I think, in terms of setting up Realm that you should pay attention to. And like I talked about, the Realm app for clients is meant to be collaborative. So when you set up a client, like we did in Kermit here, we had that option to invite them. You can invite them anytime after you set them up. But once you invite them, it's going to send them an email with a link to download Realm. And this client invitation is completely customizable, and you can just set it up, use any verbiage you want to invite your client to Realm, and then you just save it. And then it's there from then on. Anytime you click invite, it's going to send them this information. Once they download Realm, it's going to send them like a little quick get started list. And you can customize that as well. You can add steps or take steps out, or put a funny joke in there, whatever you need to do, but that's customizable here. And once you save it, it's a template and it's always going to get used. When you scroll down here, sending listings, this is very important. Obviously, anytime you want to send a listing, it's going to default to this message. So I like to keep it short, and you can do whatever you want here, put team information, anything you want to do. You will also have the option to customize this before you send any listings. But if it's sent to auto send, this is the message they're going to get. And then of course your signature, and this is going to be your basically your email signature from within Realm. Unfortunately, there's no way to put photos in here yet, but I understand that they are working. Okay, so you should set those things up right away, and you got that ready to go. Okay, account kind of tweaks a little bit how Realm is presented to you. So the dashboard view when I log into Realm is the one we were talking about. I think that's the most efficient way to log into Realm, but you could have it go directly to chats if you're a heavy chat user, or if you knew like every time I log into Realm, I want to go immediately to searches, you could set it up so it's going to go jump right into searches, or it's going to go into search on listings. There is also here the way to configure what happens anytime you click on the search view. So I currently have it set up as consumer, which I think is the default. But if you go into the search menu, you can see here you also have the ability to customize the layout view at any time. So I can select the map and card, map and table, and it really just changes the way the listing and the searches are presented. So it's normally much quicker than this, but you would see the listings down here along the bottom and your search criteria over here on the left. And you could work with it that way if you didn't like the original way. You could totally get rid of the map completely and just work with the table. Or if you wanted to, you could just make it the map completely. Anyways, that's how you set up the default. So I can set up consumer map and card, map and table, or map right from the beginning when you click on it. And your default search is just attached to you. It's not, doesn't really affect the client. You want to make sure your time zone, so it's not really affecting anybody here. And you do also have the option to make it a dark or just to default to the device presentation. Okay, so market area. This is where we were going to set up what's over here on the left side for our market areas. And it's very easy to customize it. Don't fall for new market. This isn't the town new market. This is the default. So when it's blank, it says new market area. This isn't the town new market. So I can click here and edit and type in, oops, right. And then select the area, so York. Gina. And then over here on the right, I want to say, okay, I want freehold condos and just click save and save. And now that's going to show up on my over here. Okay. Notifications is super long. If you're actually chatting with clients, you can set up how you want chats to behave. So you can have your chats come in at the end of the day, or you can have them come in real time. And that's how you would do this here. The rest of this whole big list here is how you want the Realm app to handle notifications to you when clients that are attached to you in Realm are doing things in the Realm app. So just to give you an idea, like anytime somebody is going to do an email unsubscribe, let's say, I want to know in the app, I want it to push to me right away. So I just select this box. And then with regards to how I want the email to behave, I want the email in real time as well. So I know right away if somebody's unsubscribed their email, I can give them a call and say, hey, what's up? But there are maybe other things that aren't quite as urgent and you don't need them in real time, like a client, like the list that I set up for them. Maybe I just need that at the end of the day. And at the end of the day, Realm's going to send you a couple of summaries. It'll send you a summary for these notifications, as well as it's going to send you notifications for any listings searches that you've set up as well. So you get an email for those. And then you can just kind of go through this giant list and decide what's important to you and what you want pushed in real time. Okay, the final thing here is the land registry. So you'll know you get 2,000 land registry polls at the beginning of the year. They've now included a declinating balance on how many of those land registry polls you have left. And if you're like a super user like Jake and you've gone through 100 of them, you'll see it and you can start sweating. But
Yeah, it's
I've
good
only
to
got
know because apparently I've gone through 617 of them so far this year, and it's January 30th. So it's nice to have this remaining count and know where it is.
yeah, for sure. Okay, so there is one button missing here. And I think that's kind of due to the truck trouble today. But they had an import search from Stratus button here. And if you actually go into the help and type out import searches from Stratus, it'll actually show this menu and it'll show the button right here. I was going to show it to you today, but it's gone. So I can't show it to you, but it will let you select your searches in Stratus that you want to bring over and bring them over. And then you'll have them as default searches in Realm that you can use anytime. There is also an import clients option. So in Stratus, you can pull your clients and have that go into a CSV file and bring that into Realm, which is of course not working as well today because of the drug troubles, but otherwise we can show that too. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing my screen here and give that back to Jake.
Awesome. Yeah, I'll pick up here and share mine. Oh, let me just get this going here. Perfect. Can you guys see my Realm screen? Awesome. So I'm gonna dive into searching. So us as realtors, obviously, I mean, sometimes it feels like half our job is searching for homes, finding those right homes, and just knowing what tools to use. And I know that's one of the concerns a lot of people have when switching over from Stratus to Realm. But I mean, I can assure you, once you're used to this system, I prefer it. I have no reason to go back to Stratus now. I much prefer Realm because I know where everything is now and it's much easier. Plus, your phone, being able to access all this information from your phone on the go at showings, it's a game changer. So I'm going to dive into the search tool, finding those properties which we need to find. Again, bear with us. It's a little laggy and funny today with this the Stratus issues that they're having, but it should work here no problem. Hopefully, knock on wood. So there's a couple cool ways that you can search in Realm very easily. This is the kind of base search map. When I want to find a property, this is where I can come. So obviously I can look at for lease, I can do all the same information that you would see on Stratus. Every single, well, pretty much every single category that I can think of is available through Realm. You just need to know where to find it. So first we have the location feature, which is the exact same as Stratus. However, there's one key difference here that I want to point out. So Stratus, they have that you have to match on all areas, municipality and community values. That's how you have to do it. So for instance, we live in Keswick. So if I want to look at homes for sale in Keswick, let's say, I would do York, Georgina, and then Keswick, right? Realm's a little bit different. I leave it off. I leave this little tick box off always, because if I know I want to look for Keswick, I just type in Keswick. Takes me right there. It shows me the boundaries. So like if I know a client is looking beyond that old homestead boundary here, let's also add in that'd be historic lakeshore. If that loads. So now you can see where you're including. So that's one way to do it. So now under this, same thing. Oh, one thing I'll point out as well, a very cool feature with Realm that I love is that you can't really mess it up. I found with Stratus, like when I was looking for a CMA, when I was looking for properties for sale, you'd look for the availables, you'd then have to back all the way out, fully rebuild your search, and then look for the solds. Realm, it's not like that. I can very easily search a subdivision, see what's currently available within that radius, and at the click of a button, I can switch over to unavailable. Let's look from 2023 until now. So there's everything since the beginning of 2023 that's been not available in that. So whether it was expired, terminated, sold, you can filter all that out, but very quick way to do that. And I can easily switch back to available. So I find it really made my workflow a lot better with CMAs and finding that sold data. Then you would have your typical, all the stuff that you'd look for with whatever kind of property you're looking for. It's all right here. Every filter that you're used to. Beds and baths. So this one's a little different. Let's say you wouldn't do like a minimum of 3 on Realm. There's no minimum box like there is on Stratus. I would simply do 3, 4, 5. It's logical when you think about it, but you just need to play with it to get used to it. Price. So list price and price. The thing I like about Realm 2, they're considerate for people that don't fully they don't just expect you to know the difference between listed price and price. So you can hover over this box and it explains what the difference is. So for instance, if a property had sold for 900, you would search under price. It explains it right there. More filters. This is where everything that you couldn't find in all of these boxes lives. So I'm only looking at properties that are available, so it's not going to show me the solds and all that stuff here, terminated, expired. It's just going to show me the available stuff. Now, one question I get all the time is, Jake, I can't find this filter. So when you scroll all the way down to the bottom of more filters, there's this add a field box. This is where everything else that you cannot find lives. So for instance, let's add waterfront, because waterfront is not something that's standard here. So if I want to look at waterfront, there. Now this will live here. I just cleared my cookies this morning, so it wasn't here, but as long as you add that and don't clear your browsing history or cookies on your computer, it will stay here. So I can very easily filter those out. And I mean, you can do anything here, remarks for brokers, remarks for clients, anything that you want to search by, you can search through this add a field button. Okay. So let's quickly talk about the remaining search features that we haven't touched on. So you've seen me quickly use this radius tool. I love it because if I know someone wants to live within walking distance to, let's say, W.J. Watson, the school right here, I can do a 1 kilometer circle kind of thing. It shows that distance from the object that you're searching from. So that's a quick, easy way to do it. Additionally, you can also draw a polygon. So I can click and outline the subdivision. Boom. And now it's only going to show me stuff within that box. Easy peasy. Now, this is where things start to get really cool. There's a lot of map overlays through Realm. that you might not have ever seen before through Stratus. So if I come down to this map layers button, I currently look at parcel fabric and satellite. Now, the reason I do parcel fabric, and this is why I have 600 or so pulls so far, I can zoom in on any property. And like, let's say I'm doing a CMA on one of these homes and they say, yeah, this guy sold. I can just click on this and there's the land registry report. Very, very easily, I can see if that property did in fact sell, and I can do that on my phone as well. So that's a cool little feature of the parcel fabric because it shows the different lots. Now, in addition to that, schools. That's a cool built-in feature. So see these little books? Those are the different schools in the area. So I can, oh, here it is. I can filter by what I want it to be. So like I can do anything, right? Where you can layer it down. Like if you say I have kids that want to be in a Catholic elementary school, I can limit to that and see what's in the area. However, if I click on it, it shows me the school boundaries. So if I know my client's kids are going to this school, I'm only going to search within those boundaries. So I can very easily come to the polygon tool, outline that school boundary. Boom. Now I have a search set up for within that school boundary. In addition to that, there's a couple other cool ones. Map art is a nice one if you're not too familiar with the area. It breaks down the different little pockets, the key streets that you need to know. It shows the more dense areas as well as the more rural areas. There's also heat mapping as well. One other thing, they just added this recently, communities. So instead of having to pull up that silly Treb interactive map to figure out which the areas are, I can very quickly look and see all the different pockets while I'm searching. There's also heat mapping. The heat mapping is super cool. So turnover, for instance, let's look at the 1-year turnover or growth or average sale price. There's so much different information in here. But the turnover is important, I find, because let's say I have a client that wants to move by the park here in Keswick. This is a big park right in the center of one of the subdivisions. Very low turnover rate, 1.83% every year. It's a very, very low turnover rate for that pocket. So if something comes up, you need to jump on it. However, let's say they're looking in Simcoe Landing in this pocket, 6.5% turnover rate. So that's a much higher turnover rate than what we would see in that park area. It's just a good way to know what you should be expecting in that area. Lots of other things you can play around with here. That's just kind of a quick overview. Now, let's talk about saving a search. We'll go back to this subdivision we're using for an example. So let's say I have clients that want to specifically live in this Keswick by the Lake subdivision here. I can quickly outline it once this loads. This is the joys of that transition day we were referring to. Normally, this is lickety split. It would already be done. There you go. There's everything within that radius. Let's say I mess it up. I can very easily click and drag. With Realm, you don't have to worry about breaking your search or everything's undoable. If you ever get into a corner and your search isn't working, let's say like you're producing 0 results, you can very easily hit the clear button. It's a pretty user-friendly system. So once I have this drawn out, I can come and save a search. So this would be similar to your prospect search that you see on Stratus and what you're used to. Once I save it, I can pick which client I'm saving it for, or even save it for myself if I want to receive the information. So like, let's say I have an older client that's not very email savvy. I want to receive the listings, or even if it's like a very high-end client that you don't want to send stuff, you want to select them and send it to them. I can set it up and send it to myself, or I can send it directly to clients here. In addition, you can also add separate email addresses you want to include. So let's say they have a spouse that you don't want to add a separate client for. Very easy. You can just add them here, or a parent, whatever. You can set up notifications for yourself. So you're notified when searches are going out to your client or when they have new matches to their search, so you can keep an eye on them. So now the one thing I'll point out as well that I wanted to talk about, coming back to the home page, Brad's better than I am, and he didn't have any expiring searches. So you didn't see this. But if you do have expiring searches coming up, they pop up right here. So you can't really miss them. All I have to do is hit extend all, and that'll keep all my prospect searches going to all my clients. Now,
It
one
notifies you by email too if you have
it
an
does
expiring search.
exactly.
Yeah, you'll see it.
So it's very, very hard to screw that up and miss it. It's right in your face every time you log in, as well as you get an email. One thing I will say, sending properties through Realm, again, I might come off sounding like a fanboy of Realm here, but I think it's just like there's a lot of awesome stuff with this system that you guys will love. I know my properties, when they're sent to my clients, it looks a lot more professional. When I go out to a CMA, I send actives and solds. I send them as a link to my clients in addition to printing them out so they can view all the photos. So let's say I want to come back to this search and send these to a client. So if I want to send them just this one-off search, like let's talk about the active properties within this area, I would come up to this arrow and I can hit email and in this pop-up, send it to myself. Now, if you do this on the mobile phone, there's a share button here instead of email. And when you hit that share button, you can text them to your clients and it comes up as a nice clickable link for them. So when this link gets sent out, this is what it looks like. I'm going to open this email here. So here are the properties available in that subdivision. Again, as Brad said, you control all of this. So you make this standard email whatever you want. This is how I have mine set up currently. This is exactly as it looks for a client. So I'm going to open this in as an incognito window. So I'm not logged into Stratus. Because if I click on this, it opens it up and shows me all that broker information because it recognizes that I'm logged in as a salesperson. If I open it in an incognito window, which Brad confirmed, can you guys still see this? Perfect. So this dark window here, this is an incognito window, meaning I'm not logged in. This is exactly what a consumer would see when they receive your email. So when my clients receive properties I'm sending to them, they see the map, they can quickly go, oh yeah, I know where that is, or no, I don't know where that is on the map. Very easy and easy to sort out. They can click on the properties, they can click through all the photos and see what these properties look like. They see the price and all that information just like we see. Now, a couple other cool things. They also see they have a built-in mortgage calculator for them, so they can play around with numbers and see if this is a property they want to afford. And they can see pretty much everything that you can see on Stratus. One last thing before I hand it back over to Brad.
Hey, Jake, just stop right there for one sec.
Oh,
Can you just go back to your email?
yeah,
You can
absolutely.
also take that link. It says view listings in your web browser right there. If you copy that,
Right
you
here.
can actually text that link to people and they'll get the same information. So if you want to know how to text listings to clients, you can do it that way as well.
100%. Yeah. In addition to that, you can do it that way, or you can very easily, if you're texting it to people, you can go into the Realm app and text it directly if you're an iPhone user as well. Super easy. One thing too, I know a lot of you guys are thinking is, but Jake, I don't like this view. I mean, this view, once you get used to it, it's pretty decent. It's not bad. You can see everything that you want to see, and it's less jumbled up, I find. It also has all the attachments that you're looking for. This is where you could easily get to like web forms. Anything you really want to see is right here. Property line, if you want to buy a square footage report, all your information down here. And then your broker remarks are farther down near the bottom. You can see nearby properties, as well as the property history is built into this search system. So I can very easily see, okay, it was listed for lease. It was then sold in 2021, and now they're relisting it in 2023 for a higher number. Very easy to see all that information. It's all right in this simple search thing, as well as the property size from MPAC. However, if you want to stick with the old system and you're so used to where things are and you are refusing to get used to this new system, which is kind of cool, you can click this little gear icon and switch it to sheet. There you go. It's the system you guys are always you're used to. You know where everything is on this sheet. This is how I print things as well. I know one of the things when I first switched over, I struggled with was printing out my listings for showings. I didn't realize this was a button until Brad showed me. So shout out Brad for that. But you can very easily, if I want to print this right here. So instead of selecting broker full, that's like a 3-page document. I can select broker full sheet, and then it prints out just like the documents that you're used to. So easy peasy, very similar to what you're used to. Not that big of a change, honestly. but the benefits outweigh the the negative side. Like you can still scroll down and see the property history and everything built in. You don't have to click all around about address history. And again, one last thing, all of the stuff I'm showing you right now, you can see on the app on your phone as well. So if I'm out at a showing and I want to know this property, for example, last time it was sold, I can pull it up. I can show my clients there. If we're in the kitchen and they're wondering if they renovated it since last time, I can look at the photos while I'm at that showing. I can show them to my client and I can answer questions on the go. So that for me is the game changer that I recommend you guys start checking out. And on that note, I'll hand it back over to Brad here and he can dive into the awesome seller side of it. So that was kind of the buyer side.
Thanks, Jake.
Woohoo.
All right, share this again. You see that okay?
Perfect.
Okay, so actually what I'm going to talk about is lists. Lists, like we talked about, was buckets or baskets or whatever in Stratus, that nightmare I've forgotten all about.
Okay, and I can
Um,
attest to this. I have not been using this until Brad showed me this when we were starting to prepare for this training. The list stuff he's about to show you guys is a game changer for dealing with your sellers and listings. It's tenfold easier than what I've been doing. So this is good.
okay, so lists are always attached to either yourself or to a client or contact that you set up in Realm. You can see here, so I've got myself selected. I go to lists. So I use my list for myself, like my own lists. I use that for clients that maybe I don't have set up in Realm. It's just a kind of a quick thing, and I don't want to go through the labor of setting up a contact. So I can just set up lists under my own name for them, and I can just name it like Bob's List, and then I have that under my own name. There are two default lists. One is called Notes. Okay. If I go into a listing, let's say I want to go into my amazing listing here. It's going slow, and I go in and go, wow, and save that. Okay. And if I go back into my notes, this will eventually, if Realm is working, I'll see that listing as a listing that I've attached a note to. And this will work the same way for your clients in the app. If they start adding notes to listings you're sending, they can have a quick reference to any listings that have notes attached to them. The other default one is likes. So if I go into Realm and I go up here and there's a little heart thing, I click on the heart, that's going to put it into my likes list. So those are just defaults. Okay. You can also have lists assigned to clients. So we just set up Kermit here, so he doesn't have any lists. I like to use lists for clients in two different workflows. The first one being, let's say they've got a listing with me, and I want to track comps that I'm sending them, like we do a weekly seller report. So I may want to keep track of certain comps as the listing is progressing, just to have that refreshed and see if there's any changes in the competitive listings in that market. So let's just really quickly set up a search. Back to consumer. Okay, so this is Jump to Location. It's a brand new tool. It's such a lifesaver. I'm just going to use one of my listings that's just paused right now. Sorry, that's happening. Okay, so I'm going to go find location, and it's going to take me right to this address. So I've got this listing. Sorry, it's just an address, but I can set up a search here now. So let's say that my listing is in the red and I want to keep an eye on the neighborhood. And just like Jake showed you, I'm just going to just draw a little box around here.
And Brad, one
And I
thing
want to keep,
there that I just forgot to touch on it that I was showing. Can you show them how the zoom works if a listing's on your screen?
yeah. Okay, so you mean it goes away if you go out of the year? Yeah. So that's a major headache and something that is definitely learning. So I've got a couple of listings here now in my little search window. Let's say I select them because I want to keep them special. And then let's say I'm kind of browsing around the area and I actually move my window out. You can see I've lost those listings because they're outside of my search area now. And if I go back in, that listing is not selected anymore. It's been dechecked. So you have to be really careful, like when you're zooming in and out of the map, especially if you got like maybe I had all of Georgina's selected in my search, and I had a couple listings, we're here in Virginia Beach, and then you kind of zip over. I'm going to lose those selections. I don't know why they didn't make it sticky. Maybe they will in the future, but you got to be really careful with how you're handling the map when you've got selections done. Okay? So let's say I've got this is not an actual house; it's a new build sale. So I don't want to have that in my comp. So let's say I've got these two comps. So I can do a couple things here. I could just save this search now. So I've got this search constantly running for comps, just like Jake had shown you. I can go in here and say save search. But I also just want to keep an eye on these two listings. So I want to save them over here in this crooked arrow, save to a list. Okay. So I'm going to go here. I can assign that list to a client, and I'm going to select Kermit. Kermit doesn't have any lists, so I'm going to create a new list. I'm going to call that comps. I'm going to add it. And those are going to now show up in Kermit. I'm just going to refresh my screen here. So I now have under Kermit those two comps I sent them. And I can click on here and go into comps. And those are going to show as that's going to be permanent now. So those listings will be there regardless of what happens to them. And I can see them kind of progress through their life cycle, whether they get price changes or they're sold conditionally or they expire. And I'll always have that as a reference for my clients. So I can refer back to that every week and just see how those comps that are on my seller report are doing. So pretty effective that way. Okay, so let's say now that my client Kermit, I'm just going to clear the search. So I'm going to click clear and I'm going to get away from it. Let's say he wanted to move down here closer to the 404, and I want to start treating him like a buyer with this search and have a list set up for showings that I've done with him. So I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to just draw a quick little search. I hope you guys can appreciate like how quick the searching is. And want it down here at the end of 404. And I know Kermit's going to want like 3 or 4 bedrooms, maybe 3 bathrooms, maybe 4. Then and then I have my pricing nothing higher than $1 million. And so I'm just going to go here $1 million and click done. Okay, so here's our search list for what I want to do for showings. And I can go through here, and actually there's a bit of a hack going through the photos real quick. If you go to your keyboard and you use the arrow key, I can go through the photos on all the listings at once. So I'm just kind of scanning through. I know my client's not going to like this all white. It's like hospital, so I'm going to just select these other ones. And then I've got kind of my quick showing list. I can go ahead and email those to my client. So I click email and it's going to send them like Jake had said. And then I want to track them in a list. So I'm going to send add to list. And I got Kermit here. I got my comps list, but I also want a new list for shopping. I got my shopping list now. And I can go back to Kermit and I'm going to refresh the screen.
Now this part he's about to show you guys blew my mind. For buyers, this makes your world so much easier.
Of course, it's not going to work. Anyway, so I'm not getting my list populated here. Okay, let's just, sorry, that was my fault. Painfully slow. Okay, so I've got 3 show. It's actually, you give me this one too, but I've got 3 showings here, let's say. My clients emailed me back, said, hey, that's cool. I go ahead and book them in Broker Bay. And I want to just go ahead and get some directions to these listings. I've got them all 3 selected. I go to directions. Oops. Click on directions. And click get directions. Okay, because we're EXP, it always includes your home office, but I can delete that. And now I've got my little showing map, and I can just kind of drag these around to the right order that I want to do based on the timing. And I've got this map that I can print out, and this is just using Google Maps. So really kind of cool, efficient way to handle your showings.
In one click too. I mean, for years now, I've been typing in those property addresses to Google Maps and laying them out in logical order, taking like 10 minutes of my time every time I book showings. This is in one click now.
Yeah. Okay, so we're a little tight for time, but I did want to show you just really quick the new CMA tool that Realm has included. They finally got this mostly working. It seems to be pretty stable now. I just go into the applications menu here. I'm going to select Realm CMA. And I'm just going to delete this one just so it doesn't interfere. And let's say we're actually doing the CMA on Kermit's home. So I can search by address here. I'm going to pull up. And okay, so this now becomes my subject property. I click create. And it goes immediately to the find comps tool. Okay, so I can decide, okay, so I want to do maybe within 5 kilometers of that area. I only want freeholds. Market's a little strange, so I only want to do 6 months. This price is a little aggressive, I know, for that type of home, so I'm just going to go up to 850. And then what do I want for status for these homes in my comps? I like to have kind of a mix. So I want some solds, I want some terminated or suspended, and I want some active, so we can have a good conversation about that. So I'm going to select new, price change, and extended. I want my solds. I don't want any lease. I don't want my sold conditional. And let's get some expired in there. Okay. And you can also suggest properties and you can manually add listings, but let's let the tool do it for us today and just see what we come up with. So it's going out there and it went out and pulled it. So these listings are going to be a mix of the suggested comps and have solds and terminated and new ones. So let's get just for time's sake, I'm just going to pull a couple of quick ones. So I can do the same thing and just kind of go through the photos and just see, if the finishings look similar. And yeah, okay, so that one's not bad. And then, so I've got one sold. I'm going to do this one as a sold, it's not bad. Then I've got a suspended, so maybe they overreached, and a terminated, maybe they overreached. And I go over here and I can sort. I can sort by status. So now it's just going to group all of the new ones for me, and I can just kind of look at the new ones. So I get a couple of new ones. Okay, so I've got a pretty good representation. I go over here to CMA and I select add comparables. And it's added those comparables, and I can just go down to the bottom here and click on that link again. That's going to take me back to my CMA tool. And I can fill in some details here on the subject property. Go in and I can look and make sure that's all correct. I can change the description. I can add some notes for my client to see. And then I get to view the comparables up here. I click the comparables. I like to kind of bunch them all together. I like to keep my new comps at the top, so currently active comps, just so they can see what's currently on the market. Then I have my solds, and then we'll talk about our suspended or terminated as overreach. Okay. Then I can go into adjustments, and this is going to do like a side-by-side comparison of each of the listings. I can add notes and an adjustment quantity, like a dollar value, if I wanted to do that. I can go up here to comps, or sorry, to contents, and I can declick anything that I want. I can upload PDFs, like maybe you want to actually include the full MLS sheets for these comps. You can do that here if you want to take the time, or maybe you have your own marketing information, like about your own team, and you can drop that in here and then reorder that, maybe put that back up at the top. And then the appearance gives you an opportunity here to put your logo in and anything else that you want to add to it. Okay, so once you're done with your CMA here, you have 2 different options. You can share it as a link or export it as a PDF and then email it or print it and give it physically. So let's just take a quick look at the preview, like if we're going to share it as a link. And this is the link. Once they click it, and they can navigate through the CMA, either through here or through these little hot buttons here. But let's just scroll through it really quickly. So I get my subject property, gives me the details on the property. Gives me a summary of the comps broken down. So I've got all the comps with the lowest price, the highest price, the median, mean, and average days on market. I've got the active ones, so just the current listings, kind of what their values were. And those that sold, probably the most important in terms of determining the actual list price we want to go with. Then go down here and go comp property list. These aren't hot links, so unfortunately I can't click on it and get to the MLS listing, but it's a good representation of the values, the pricing, and where they're located. So you can say, okay, well, this one's in a different area, so there's going to impact the value that way as well. And then you can do a side-by-side comp. So I've got my subject property here, and then the comps that I can just kind of scroll through and then compare kind of item per item, how they stack up against each other. And then, so details on the comps, I kind of scroll through. This is where you can maybe replace it with the MLS sheets if you want, or if you're just fine with the summary, you can use this instead. And then some statistical data, which I don't know, maybe is a little confusing depending on what it actually looks like for your client, but you can do that here as well. And then the demographics that you normally see in Geo, and you can cycle through the neighborhood. If I print this, it's going to print as a PDF that I could then, through Adobe Acrobat, add my own like heading information and footing information. Like we have our own team PDF we use for CMAs, so I could take this and then drop it in there. So this is what the PDF is going to look like. And we got a very reasonable CMA that I can use and give to client. Well, any questions? Pretty much done everything we wanted to show you. I'm going to stop sharing.
Yeah, we got 5 minutes left here for questions. So if you guys have any questions about anything we covered, please drop it in the Q&A and we're happy to cover it and answer it. No questions so far. It means we covered pretty much everything, eh, Brad?
Good job, Jake.
Deanna with the no questions because I'm speechless. Realm's awesome if you guys try it. I mean, for me, I just one day I knew that deadline was coming up. I mean, for you slackers that are still putting this off, you got lucky. You got 5 more months. Don't wait 5 months. Don't wait until last minute to transition. Start trying it now. Take a day while you have a little bit of time on your hands and just use it for one day. Once you use it for one day, you'll know where things are. Anik,
And I think I've always found Stratus kind of always butting my head against it. It was always like deleting my baskets, and I was always struggling with the searches because I'm very visual and I need to see like on the map. It's so much helpful. And then once I kind of got into it, I found like Realm was actually giving me sales tools that I could use, like those heat maps that Jake were saying. Like I could compare like where a client was going, like coming from to where they wanted to move to, show them the different heat maps and kind of incentivize them to get out of where they were because that wasn't appreciating as quickly as where they wanted to go. And say, hey, look, the longer you wait, the less purchasing power you're going to have to where you want to go. So, there's all kinds of creative ways you can move those, use those maps and tools.
yes, well put. Anise has a question here in the chat. Brad, can you show the way to plan the route again?
Sure.
So you can do that
So
through lists, but you can also do that through any property search. You don't have to use the list tool. Is that right?
correct. So we have, let's say we've got a search here that's open, and I can just select to, let's say I'll select 3 properties. I've got 3 properties selected, and go up here to the arrow and go directions. Click directions. Going to give me the properties I've selected. I'm going to deselect my office this time and then say get directions. And then it's going to go out to Google Maps and give me the route between those properties I've selected. I can change that around based on what makes the most sense for me. And I've got a perfectly good Google map here that I can send to my client or use myself for navigating on our showing.
And a cool trick for this, when I'm sending clients Google, so I use Google Calendar. When I invite a client to an appointment through my Google Calendar or through Follow Up Boss, I take that link on Google Maps that Brad was just showing on that screen. You can take that link and put it into your notes. So your client, when they receive that invite, they also have a very easy way to click for directions. And me, when I'm on the road, I can click and see where I'm going next.
Yeah, yeah, it's really handy.
It's incredible. And like I said, that's something that I've been doing personally for the last probably 3, 4 years, but I was manually doing it. So being able to do it with one click just saves me that extra time, which is valuable in our business.
Yeah, and I found that the addition of this jump to location was probably the single biggest time saver
Oh
for
yeah.
Realm. So if I'm on the road or whatever, I can just go, hey, I need to go here, or I am here at this point, and it takes you right there, and you can see what's going on in that neighborhood right away.
As well as on your phone. Again, not to harp on that phone app too much. You can do pretty much everything we're showing, as well as that arrow above the go to, that little like triangle arrow you see underneath layers on the left-hand side. That's your location. So it uses your device's location to show where you are. So when I'm at showings with clients on my phone, I can click that arrow. It'll use my location to show me what is currently around me. I can then look at the properties that are currently for sale in the neighborhood. I can pull up photos. If they say, hey, there was one that we drove by and it had a expired, like it just recently expired or just recently sold, and I didn't catch it before my showing, I can pull it up there. So very, very cool feature, as well as accessing lists, looking at those recently viewed properties, looking at their searches, all of that stuff you can do from the mobile app.
Yeah, cool.
Very good.
Okay,
Anyone
good.
have any more questions before we shut this down here? I think we're pretty good.
Awesome. Well, hey, thanks everybody for coming out.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jake. I learned some stuff from you today too.
Yeah, and I mean, if you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. We've been using this system for, I don't know, I've been well over a year now. Brad, how about yourself?
I was pretty early as soon as it came out because I just couldn't handle Stratus. It was driving me crazy.
That's one thing I love about Realm. I find that they're on top of updating it. They're always trying to improve this system and make it better. Yes, there are some days like today that it might be a little funky with that Stratus transition, but the fact that they're constantly improving the system, adding new features like that jump to location Brad was talking about, or even the CMA tool, which they've been actively working on for the last bit, they're constantly improving it and making the system better for us. Where Stratus, I mean, it's stayed the same since I got in the business. So being able to just constantly improve with the industry is great. And plus, your searches look better. How I send it through email looks tenfold better than stupid Stratus searches. So get with the
For sure.
times. Start using
The
Realm.
client presentation's way better.
100%.
Okay. Thanks, guys.
Yes, thank you so much.